Hello everybody, Steven here with Cardboard Coalition, and today I figured we'd bring you a how to play of Keep the Heroes Out by Brueh Games. Let's see if I can flip this right. It's 1 to 4 players, takes about 40 minutes, and it's for ages 14 plus. Alright, so what do we have here? We have a dungeon defense game, or tower defense game, right? And the goal of it is to do exactly that, keep the heroes out. Alright. So let's go ahead and go through the setup. So first you want to build your map. So it's putting out these tiles, and you have a quest book, right? Or dungeon book, sorry, not a quest book. You have a dungeon book, and it will give you the layout for each scenario. So we're doing the Witch's Cauldron, and it has any special instructions that you need right here. This one's telling you to add 2 of the witches cards into the guild deck, which is right here. All right, so now we got that out of the way, let's go ahead. We got the board set up. Sorry, my dog wants to run around all the time when I'm making videos. So you want to set up the board using the dungeon book, and it tells you where to put things. Now I will say go ahead and put these out, though they're in a separate step. It tells you to put out the chests. I don't know, I couldn't think of the name. But if you look in the book, it'll also tell you where portals go and where any special things go. In this scenario, all this means is you have to come here if the witch shows up. That's all that kind of says. So you go ahead and set your tiles. The other thing you want to make sure you do, see if I can grab one of these without disrupting the entire board, is you want to make sure you line up the openings in the tiles with other openings, right? So you go ahead and get them all set out. I would say go ahead and put out the chests and go ahead and put out any tokens. This one has 2 portal tokens, right? And this one has the special information. This is just telling you this is where you have to take, it's a frog to the witch. All right. So once you go ahead and you get that done, it says go ahead and set up your loot deck, which we have over here. You just shuffle all the cards and you put out 5 cards, right? And we'll go over all this once we get into how to play the game, the cards, and kind of how they work. All right, the next thing they tell you in the book to do is to set out these tokens, the treasure chest tokens, because in the scenario, it tells you where to put specific tokens. If you guys can see that, it kind of tells you where. This is why I say when you're setting up the dungeon, don't just put out these tokens, go ahead and put out all the chests, so you don't have to keep flipping back into this book to see what's going on. And also read the special instructions to see what it is. So far it looks like it's adding cards to the guild deck. All right, so that's done. Then you go ahead and you set up the guild deck. So what is the guild deck? Well, we have the special card from the setup, right? But you have all the heroes. So we got the warrior, the rogue, the archer, and the mage, right? And you have multiple cards of them. You go ahead and give it a shuffle with the any special cards that you were told to add in there. Go ahead and put out the guild board. I haven't seen a name for this. If there is, I missed it. It's kind of board that tells you how many cards you pull, right? And then you flip over, because to win the game, you have to get through this deck twice. So once you do it once, you can flip it over. You shuffle the deck, set it down right here, tells you every time you pull the 2 cards, which we'll get into. But then once you clear all the cards and that shows the trophy, then you've beat the dungeon. So go ahead and put this card down and then put these cards on top. All right, now you have all that done. You want to go ahead and make your token pool. Like most games, this is the first player. You can switch it to either side, doesn't really matter. It's just if you want a whip or a torch, right? And then you put out all the tokens, heroes. These are items that you can get, traps, health, things like that. All right. We got the board set up. Now it's time to get the player set up. You go ahead and you pick the youngest player. They choose what monster they want to be first, and then you go clockwise around the table. Now that I'm looking at it, I can't remember. So I got this on Kickstarter. So if you're getting this retail, I can't remember if you get the ghosts or not. I apologize if you do. I tried to keep just the main set stuff out here. But the ghosts are actually in the book too. You have 9 different monsters that you can choose from. So maybe actually the ghost probably comes with it no matter what. So you go ahead and you pick your monsters. How I go ahead and do it is I just give everybody the stack of the cards. Youngest person, give them the stack of cards, let them shuffle through it, pick what monster they want to be, and then they pass it clockwise to the next person. They pick, so on and so forth. Once everybody picks their monsters, go ahead and give them their monster tokens, right? And then you go ahead and give them their deck, right? This is their tactics deck. This is their tactics deck, right? There should be 10 cards in the tactics deck. Now, how you know exactly what to give each person, you can get from the card. This tells you how many meeples this monster comes with, or this monster group comes with, their health per meeple, and that's a health per meeple. And then it tells you how many cards in their deck. This is their special ability. So you activate their special ability. Dragon obviously has heal. And this is where you first place them. So the first turn, beginning of your turn, you place them there. So I just go ahead and set up the board and have everybody place their monsters where they need to be. The backside also gives you, oops, I had it upside down, gives you turn order. We'll go over this in a second. So once everybody has picked their monster, gotten their meeples and their cards, they shuffle their cards, their deck of cards, they draw out 5, and they're ready to go. Now, I just want to go over a couple things before we go into turn order and all that. So the first thing I want to go over is there's iconography all over here. So this tells you what kind of room it is, right? Just like we know the dragon goes here. If I can bring this up, we know the dragon goes there because it says the diamond room, you place 1 dragon down, right? As opposed to the poltergeist over here, I might have called him a ghost. I think the game calls him poltergeist. It says in rooms with crossed swords. This means that you can place 2. You can place them in 2 different rooms, see the crossed sword, or you can place 2 in 1 room. I could have chosen to do that and put 2 in 1 room, but I decided to do that to show you guys. All right. So I'm getting a little mixed there. Set that where that goes. So you have what kind of room it is. This is activate. You can do this activation in the room. That means swap. You would swap a book to get a, I don't want to say the wrong word to confuse you guys, a spell, right? What that means is if someone were to go to one of the rooms to get a book, they just go in this room, ghost activates, gets a book. They can always carry 1 item on them, or they can leave it in the room for someone else to get, but they activate, they get the book. When they make it down here and on another activate, they can use the book to swap and get a spell card. So they would pick any card from here that has the spell symbol on it. We'll go over these cards here in a minute. All right. So where'd he go? He goes back here. So that is your tile. Besides having just cool little cute art, and this is a token that you put in there. All right, so the other thing that I want to show you guys is some of these cards so we get an understanding of it, right? So we have loot cards. We can just grab one off the top. This tells you right here what kind of card it is. This is a spell. We have, I'm going to say attack, beasts. I keep calling that one pet. And potions, right? But it tells you what kind of card it is, right? It lets you know where you would go to get it. This tells you what you can do. Backslashes always mean choose one of the options. So you can either open a portal, you can do 2 long-range attack, or you can set a trap down, right? You can get yourself a trap, right? There's also another place where you can activate for a trap. But that's what it does. What the card is, a little cool picture of it, and then its abilities. And remember, backslash means either or. All right, since we're on cards, let's go ahead and look at how, well, you know what, we'll wait on that. So there's those cards, there's the tiles. Now we can get into how to play. I was thinking we can go over these cards when we get to how to play. So how to play. So we will go ahead and take the Ratkin card and flip it to the back. You could always give everyone an extra 1 monster card because there's enough for 4 players. There's 9 monsters in the game, base game, but it tells you your turn order. So right now what this is saying is play cards, right? Which lets you do actions. Initially you put down your monster where it's at. So like I said, to know where your monster initially goes, you just go ahead and look at the picture, the icon, the tag that's on there. You go ahead and put your meeple there, or how many ever meeples they tell you to put in that area. Remember, with the ghost, if they show 2, you could choose to put it in 2 different rooms, the same room, either way. Now we get into the play the cards. So let's go ahead and look at some cards. So these cards give us options: to range attack or activate, move, melee attack, or activate something. To range activate, move melee or activate, move melee or activate. So this is obviously, dragon here is a attack person, right? They're out there to attack. So you can play as many cards when you're in the first part of your player phase as you want, right? There's 5 parts to the player phase, right? So dragon could, let's see if we can do this. Can I do this smart like? Yeah, I can do the smart like. Dragon can go ahead and say he's going to activate. If he was hurt, he could activate his own ability and heal himself. Or he could decide to make a coin, right? Then he could play another card. They tell you to go ahead and make a play area. We'll move this down here. Your deck, they say play area, do a discard over here, and then go ahead and put any extra meeples down below this card. This is kind of the setup. All right, so now that he's got that, for whatever reason, he wants to get an attack card. So he has 1, 2, 3. He can move an attack, right? Or he can activate. He's going to use all 3 of those to go 1, 2, 3. He's trying to work his way up to here so he can trade a coin and then be able to get one of these cards. Whenever you get one of these cards, it goes ahead and goes into your discard pile, and you'll get it later when you shuffle when you need more cards. All right. So there is the play, move your meeple, right? That's initial place, but play cards. So he's gone through all these cards. What he can do next, I guess I'm kind of doing this a little early in the cleanup. The next phase is he can spend one of his cards, put it in the discard, right? That's what the X in the card means, to redo this. You can change any of them, all of them. You can kind of reshuffle the loot deck. So that's what you get, that symbol right there. All right, so he decides he doesn't want to, or he doesn't have enough cards. He takes these cards, the dragon player, and puts them in his discard pile, draws up to 5. If he had, let's say, just for argument, that he had a card still in his hand, he would draw up 4 more. But he played all 5 of them. He draws 5 cards. In the beginning, you only have 10 cards in your deck, so he draws up his 5 cards, and he goes ahead and sets them down, and he's ready to go. After that happens, what we have is the hero, well, I can't remember if it's called the hero phase, but the heroes come out. So how this works is we look down here, and we have to do, because we're doing it on challenging. There's family mode, challenging mode, and then hardcore, I believe. And you could tell by the skulls, oh, I got the box where I can't reach it. You could tell by the skulls they look different, but this is challenge. So it means at the end of their turn, which shows you right here, you go ahead and draw 2 hero cards and resolve them. So in this case, we have the witch. So what the witch is saying is you have to have a frog right here. You could have just brought it and dropped it off, but you have to have a frog right here. And if you have a frog here, then she's happy. No, you do either that or that. No frog, everyone loses a card. So no frog, everyone has to pull a card from their hand and put it in their discard. Now you can choose whatever cards you want. I mean, I got lots of moves here. I'm going to get rid of one of those move cards. And it's everyone has to do this. So everyone gets punished for not hitting that specific scenario. So this person also would have to go through their cards, right, and get rid of one. It looks like they got a lot of these cards. So I'm just going to say they're getting rid of, oh, I have this place that should be over here. I'm just going to say they're going to get rid of that card, right? They're going to discard that card. All right, so one hero has come into the dungeon. We've dealt with them. This is a special hero for the scenario. Then we flip another card, which we have an archer. Whenever a hero spawns, there's a whole row of things that you do in a hero activation. So when a hero spawns, you go ahead and look at what it says on the card. So this card, for example, tells us to go ahead and put a hero. So we have a hero and we put them in, if you guys can see, we put them in the wizard's hat room. There's 2. What this says in between there is not equal rooms. They have to go in 2 different rooms. So we get 2 archers. We have to find the 2 hat rooms. One goes there. One goes there. Ah, that worked out awesome. Once the hero's there, they have a line of things that they're going to go ahead and try to do. So when they first land, they're going to see if there's anybody there to attack. And in this example, we obviously have someone to attack. And that someone is the poor dragon. So they go into the room. They look to see if they have anybody to attack. They have the dragon. They'll go ahead and hit the dragon for 1. So the dragon gets 1 hit. A lot of the meeples only take 1 hit, so you get rid of them, but the dragon's a bigger one, so he takes multiple hits. We just go ahead and put the heart on the dragon card so we know. Because this hero activated, they go ahead and rest, so they flip over. Next hero goes, no monster to attack. There is a chest here, but to open a chest, you have to have that many heroes. So this chest says we have to have 3 heroes. There's only 1 hero there. They're going to rest. Now, just for example's sake, if we have a hero here and we go ahead and there's nobody to shoot, no chests, they will go ahead and move, right? So that would be their next move. Then they would do the same thing. They'd go through that whole phase again. Is there anybody attack? No. All the way up to they don't get to move again. Is there anybody attack? No. Is there any treasures? There's a treasure. So they would flip over and wait to try to get 4 people in that treasure. Now, let's go ahead and put them here because there's a treasure. They're not going to go ahead and move on. They're just going to go ahead and wait for some people to help them. All right. Now we've done the 2 phases that we're supposed to do. They're done. Go ahead and set them here and pass on, right? Next player gets to go. So it would be the ghosts over here. Now there's some things that we do need to know when you go through and players are activated. The first thing you need to know is you can't put players in the dungeon. There will be cards that will tell you to put players in the dungeon. Players go into the dungeon exhausted. If a mage gets put into the dungeon, players wake up, right? So let's see if we can find us a mage card really quick. Oh, there we go. That works awesome. So it tells you if they land in the dungeon, they do a dungeon break. That's their special ability. The archer will do a range attack into here if there's someone in here. And I'll let you guys go through all the different ones that they can do. But it's important to know that if the mage goes into the dungeon and there are people there asleep, he's going to instantly wake them up and they take an action, right? So they can open this chest in this case. A chest would open. It gives you some kind of negative. This means take a resource off that area. And then everybody would be like, oh, I've done my thing. I'm sleeping. Mage comes in here and does their special. They didn't have to open the chest because it's there. They say, burr, 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 burr. They go over here. Whenever a hero enters a room with other heroes, they inspire that hero and wake them up. So these 2 heroes are here. No monsters to fight. There's a chest, but it takes 3 heroes. They would both go to sleep, right? And this one would be off the board. You take this out of the game, right? It's off the board. So you go ahead and go through the cards and you do that. Once that's all done, next player, they go on, so on and so forth. Now you keep playing until you lose. If you lose this, you lose the game. If they get this chest, you get 4 heroes in here, they get this chest, you lose the game. Or you go through the stack twice. So let's say we've gone round and round, there'd be more stuff on the board. We've gone through a whole deck of cards. We go ahead and flip this over. We give these a really good shuffle. So we don't have the witch at the beginning or in the end. I don't know, I just did it that way, but that's how I did it. So you give these a quick shuffle. and you go through the deck one more time. If you get through this deck a second time, right, once more, the board would look different, but let's say, well, let's go like this. You go like this. It is the hero's turn. They flip a card. We'll put them down here because that's a discard pile. You'd go ahead and do this. You would put your people in those areas. And the reason you go ahead and go and do this is because there's a chaining effect that goes on. So this shows the swords. So they might, I mean, it doesn't look like it would happen. Oh, maybe. If there are some heroes in here, right, they might activate and go in here. And if there's a hero here, it would activate and they could pop this chest. But if you get all the way through like that, and there's no more cards to come out, you've won the game. So lose this, the heroes win the game. Lose this, and you as the or get through to the trophy, you as the monster wins the game. And that is how you play Keep the Heroes Out. I mean, there's some extra, you need to have the different items or the different emblems to do, but it's pretty basic, like I said, with the circles and do this. There's an arrow, it means you get to do that. But that is how you play Keep the Heroes Out by Brueh Games. It's a 1 to 4 player game. It takes 40 minutes, at least that's what they say, and it's for ages 14 plus. I'm Steven with Cardboard Coalition, and if you could, do all those YouTube things like liking, sharing, commenting, right, and hitting the bell notifications so you know when we're putting out our next video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.